In this video, we're going to be talking about FA2-1, which will be our integer review. So in the very first question, it talks about writing an addition statement. So an addition statement is anytime you're adding two numbers together. So in this example here, you're going to get positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So positive 7. I prefer using brackets. You don't need to, but I prefer. And then it's an addition statement, so it has to be addition. And then what am I adding? I'm going to be adding a negative 4. And the rules for integer states, when the signs are different and I'm adding, I take the sign of the largest number and I just subtract these two to get my answer. So that's how you're going to be writing an addition statement for number 1. For 1C, you always start at 0. I'm going to enlarge just a little bit. So if I look here, you're always starting at 0. And you go to negative 3. And then I'm going to add another 5. But I'm going to the left, so I'm going to add another negative 5. And my answer is negative 8. So I'm going to erase some of this and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so we can see it. Now on number 2, it talks about writing a subtraction statement. So just as an addition statement, the subtraction statement needs to have a subtraction sign in there. So let's do our brackets really quick. Again, brackets are not needed. I like them just for the fact that it simplifies where your integer signs are. It just doesn't mix me up, so I like to keep them. And it looks like you start off with a positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to subtract 4. Looks like a positive 4 to give me an answer of positive 3. Okay, so now we'll move down to over here. Remember what our targets are. So our targets are, can you represent integer addition and subtraction, which we just did, and do you have the ability to add and subtract? So the difference was, can you represent it? You're modeling here. Those are the first couple questions. And the ability to add and subtract will be these type of questions, which will be your more procedural questions. Let me make that a bit bigger. We'll do a couple here. So it says find the sum. So sum is an answer to an addition question. So you look if the rules are very basic. In this situation, if the signs are the same, I can keep the signs and I just add the two numbers. So 7 plus 3. And then we'll do D. And the rules for D says if the signs are different, then I keep the sign of the largest number and I can subtract. So the largest number in this situation is a plus 13. So then I go 13 minus 3, which is a positive 10. So the rules are very simple. If the signs are the same, I keep the sign and add. If the signs are different, I keep the sign of the largest number and subtract. So let's look at number 4. So anytime you're doing order of operations, you start from the left and you go to the right. There's no brackets. Well, there are brackets, but that's more just keep that negative 7 away from that positive so we don't get confused. There's no exponents that we see. There's no multiplication and division, so then you go left to right doing adding and subtracting. So let's do this part first. And we have two numbers and we're adding, so the signs are different. I keep the sign of the largest number, which will be the negative 7, so my answer is a negative. So 7 minus 2 is 5. And then I'm going to go plus 9, I keep that. And then I do the next question. Negative 5 plus 9, I keep the sign of the largest number, and I subtract those two. My answer is a positive 4. And we'll try D. Same idea, do this part first. You get, keep the sign of the largest number and subtract, which is positive 2. Now I'm going to add negative 5 plus, I might as well do these guys right now. Actually, you know what, we should go left to right, so I'm not going to do that. So I'll go positive 2 plus a negative 5. I keep the sign of the largest number and subtract. I get minus 3 plus 4 plus 2. And you can simplify this. For the video, though, I'll do all the steps. Then you have negative 3 plus 4. Keep the sign of the largest number and subtract. So I'm going to get a positive 1 plus 2. Signs are the same. Keep the signs, add the numbers. So again, you want to review those rules. If the signs are the same, I keep the sign, add the numbers. If the signs are different, I keep the sign of the largest number and subtract. Let's move this up. And these questions, the difference is when you're going to be subtracting numbers. So the rules for subtracting integers go as follows. When you are subtracting, what you want to do is you want to change this sign to an addition sign. And you want to change the sign on your second number. So you're going to want to rewrite this as positive 12 plus, again, we change it to an addition statement, and from a negative 5, we're going to change that to a positive 5. So we change the sign of the second number only, not the first, and now we have an addition statement, and the rules for addition says when I'm adding and the signs are the same, I can keep the sign and add the numbers. So all of these, you're going to have to change the subtraction to an addition statement and change the sign of the second number. I won't do all of those. We'll do number 6. Again, you will start with these first. So with signs are the same, I keep the sign, I add the numbers, and I get negative 11. Then I'm going to rewrite this guy to get a plus positive 9. I change this to an addition statement, and I change this to its opposite, which is a positive. Look back at this, I get negative 11 plus 9. I keep the sign of the largest number, and now I subtract those two because the signs are different. And now I have to deal with this part. Again, that's a subtraction, so I'm going to change that to an addition statement, and I change the sign on the second number. So now the signs are different. I keep the sign of the largest number and I subtract. And my answer there is positive 10. So do your best to work through all those. Remember the rules, apply the rules, and you'll be fine. Okay, so the back side of this, it's very similar. Just going to make that a little bit bigger. Remember what our targets are here. Our targets are, can you do you show the ability to multiply integers, and do you show the ability to divide integers, and can you do it with using the order of operations. Okay, so that's bedmass there. And this is a multiplication statement. So remember, when you're multiplying, you're talking groups of. So in this situation, you have negative 4 and negative 4, and so far you have 2 groups of them. Your answer is a negative answer, so we have negative 4 multiplied by 2. Your answer should be a negative 8. So now do your best to try to figure out the other ones. I don't want to give you both answers. For number 8, we're finding the product. Again, this is terminology. Product means the answer to a multiplication question. And multiplying and dividing, rules go as such. When the signs are the same, you get a positive answer. When the signs are different, you get a negative answer. So simply, 8, you just multiply the two numbers. So 14 multiplied by 5 is 90. Sorry, it's 70. And then you have a positive number and a negative number. The signs are different. I get a negative answer. Here, 10 multiplied by 12. Signs are both positive, and then I multiply the numbers. signs are the same. When you're dealing with questions like number 9, when you have 3 numbers, just do 2 numbers at a time. So I'll go -4 times -2, which is a +8. And then I'm going to multiply that by -3, and I get a -24. When you're dealing with square brackets, again, square brackets usually means you do that first. So we're going to do that part first, and you get 7, multiplied by whatever I get on the inside. So whatever I get on the inside, I'm not going to give you that. You'll just multiply by a +7 and the rules still apply. Division is very much the same as multiplication. You'll divide your numbers first. So 72 divided by 6 is 12. Then a negative and a negative is a positive. And the rest, again, are the same. You just apply your rules. When you're dealing with questions like questions 11, remember when you're dealing with a top of a division question or a bottom, treat those questions separately. So do all the top first, do all the bottom second, and then you're going to simplify. So in this situation, you're going to go -4 times -5, which is +20, all divided by -2. 20 divided by 2 is 10. A positive and a negative, because they're different, it's a negative, and your answer is -10. So just remember, when you're doing questions like that, you're going to deal with the top first, then the bottom, and then you're going to divide them. And number 12 looks pretty complicated, so let's pick a couple. Let's do C. So again, square brackets, you're going to go 17 subtract -4 square brackets times 2. I must do brackets first, so let's do that. 17 subtract -4. I rewrite that as an addition statement. So I change my subtraction to an addition, and I change the sign of the second number. The signs are the same. I keep the sign, and I add the numbers. And now I'm going to do whatever I did to the bracket. I'm going to multiply it by 2. The signs are both positive, so my answer is a +42. Let's try F. So I'm going to do F without actually writing it out again. So here you're going to get you're multiplying there, so that's going to be a +18 plus, you'll multiply here first. Don't do that till that later. -12. Now I can do the tops. 18 plus a -12, the signs are the same. Sorry, the signs are different. I keep the sign of the largest number. And I get a +6 on top. Now I can do the bottoms. I have to do my exponents first, then my division, then I can add. So -2 times -2 is a +4, plus 12 divided by 6 is a +2. And here the signs are the same. I keep the sign and I add the numbers. +6 divided by +6 is a +1. Make sure you show your work a little bit more detailed, or not detailed, but more in order. Just for the sake of the video, mine's kind of all over the place, but do your best with that. So that's our video for today. Hopefully that helped. When you're doing this, again, keep in mind the targets. We want to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. We want to make sure we can do it consistently, and we want to make sure we can do it consistently using the order of operations. So I hope that helped.